happy to turn things back over to Emma. And Emma is going to show us ProCreate and how you can draw and paint in ProCreate.
All right, thanks, Kristen. So this app that I've been using it for probably about a year. I've been using the Apple Pencil and iPad before I started working at Fisher, and I've always been the kind of person that I had like I cleaned out my parents' house, and I had like buckets of notebooks and journals and stuff. I was never much of like a diary keeper, but I just doodle. That's just what I do. And I find that not only does it help me calm down, help me to relieve stress at the end of the day, but I've also found some really cool uses for it. So I'll talk through kind of what I've been using ProCreate for. Whoops. All right, there we go. So the app that I use is called ProCreate. Really weird name. I'm apologizing in advance. But basically the idea is that it allows you to do a lot of really creative things. So you can see here I've got kind of a stack of different areas. These are just different things that I've been working on. But I'm going to go into this first one first. So this is just a drawing that I create. These are kind of random things that I like to draw. But the nice thing about this, and if you like to draw, if that helps relieve your stress, or if you just find yourself kind of doing this, the really nice thing about this is that you can do kind of straight lines. Like if you draw a line, it will actually straighten out for you. Notability does this too, but it gives you a lot of really cool options in terms of kind of thickness, thinness, colors. So up here in the top, are all of my brushes, and you can see there's a lot of different kinds of brushes you can use, and there's even things like kind of more texture based, and then there's also like you can use this to like smudge things and do there's a bunch of really cool options and tools. And if you're familiar at all with any of the kind of Adobe Creative Suite, or if you're just kind of familiar with some of the more creative tools out there, you know that you can create layers. So what I love about this is if I'm working on something and I'm like, oh, I want to test out how this is going to look, I create a new layer, and then I can go in and, do whatever I'm going to do and draw all over, and say, I don't like that layer, and then go through and delete it and kind of go back. So that's kind of the area that I use it for, in kind of the relax, like kind of wellness, if you will think about it that way. But I actually also used it for a couple projects that I was doing this summer. So my fiance and I just bought a house a little over a year ago, and we've been trying to clean up our backyard. So I'm apologizing in advance. These photos, it's a work in progress. But basically what we were doing is I would take a photo and then come in, and we were trying to figure out, like, could we put in a planter box here instead of take out those bricks, put in a planter box. It would look a lot better. So I was starting to draw it out and kind of get it ready and really be able to visualize what I wanted to do. I really liked this because I'm a very visual person. So it was like, okay, I can go to Pinterest, I can go to different websites and kind of search for what I wanted, but then I was able to really visualize it and kind of draw it out. So that was kind of the first iteration. And then you can see some of these, this one's like, okay, now we're talking about maybe we put a bench in there. And so that was the next iteration. And then there's even like some more where we're like, well, maybe it's just over here, and maybe we're just going to focus on this one specific area. And then eventually what it turned into is taking some of these drawings and drawing things out and kind of measuring and being able to really say, okay, this is the wood that we're going to need, or these are the materials we're going to need, and here's the dimensions of everything and how that would kind of lay out. And so I found it super helpful for that purpose too, because I could say to my fiance, okay, this is what I'm thinking, and I could describe it to him, and he's very visual too. So being able to sit there, and we would actually kind of work together sometimes and, take that photo, draw on top of it, and be like, okay, this is what we wanted to be able to create. And then my father-in-law, he was a former engineer. So he comes in and he'll be like, okay, so this angle looks a little wonky, or you need to fix these things. But being able to show him and get his input on it was super helpful in general. So those are the two kind of main uses that I use it for. I also just draw a lot. So there's like a bunch of things in here. Our dog's name is Appy, so we call her Avocado. So I was doing some drawing with that. I also just like to draw, and one of the other cool things that you can do with this, so I mentioned layers before. So this is actually, if any of you are familiar with the Playhouse Swilberger downtown, this is one of their windows. It's a really cool window. So I took a photo of it a long time ago, and I actually brought it into ProCreate and used some stenciling tools to create this really cool texture that goes over it. And I actually left this little burst there because I think it's kind of cool. But these are all things that I like to do because it really helps me feel like I'm drawing and kind of creating that and creating that that element of creativity in my life without having to use all the paper that I used to use and basically being super unenvironmentally friendly. So this allows me to kind of be creative and think visually without having to waste all of that paper.